The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Hey, welcome to Doing It with Stiles. I know I sound like shit. I've had a cold. Sorry about that, but the show must go on. So I've got some special guests, special friends that have come all the way out here from Asheville, North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Asheville, North Carolina. What the hell is in Asheville, North Carolina?
What isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything is there.
Everything is there.
A lot of different people.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can see three different people here. So over there on the end is Elliot Schwartz. Elliot and I go back, 15, 16, 18 years, something like that?
Yeah, maybe closer to 20. at this
Yeah,
point,
well,
you know.
it's that's how old we are.
Age like that, come on.
Craig is a friend of Elliot's, and he was coming out for a high school reunion and to shoot some pictures.
Bitches.
He is a photographer and a fine artist.
Yes, sir.
And I haven't seen any of his art, so I can't verify whether it's fine or not. But we'll probably get a chance to look at some of it a little bit later. And then Erica, of course, is the only real reason that I agreed to let these guys be on the show. And Erica you are a makeup artist,
Makeup artist,
hairdresser, and model.
model. Yes.
Okay, and you
All the
are
good stuff.
in town for.
I'm shooting. I've been shooting the last 3 days straight.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
Who for?
Keith Sell. So
Oh.
he's internationally known tattoo photographer. So,
Oh, wow,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So, and that are you a tattoo model? Is that what you?
That's kind of the
Yeah.
way I go, yeah.
Okay.
Seems to fit me the most.
It's not like the Suicide Girls or something like that.
No,
or-
it's pretty different from them. They've got their own little thing going on.
Yes.
So.
Okay, cool.
A lot of the same concepts and stuff. They're just a very categorized group for sure.
How long have you been doing this?
This trip is actually like my get back in the game, blowing it up again. I've been out of it for almost 3 years now. I had a little girl, but before that it was about 3-4 years that I was doing that.
Okay, wow.
A couple publications in the past and working on some now, so we'll see.
So, but is most of your time spent on the hair and makeup
Absolutely.
stuff? Okay.
Absolutely. I have an in-home studio that I work from. I'm really blessed. It's such a great area to do something like that in. So.
And I've heard that there is a little bit of a shortage of people like yourself back in Asheville.
Yeah, there's the talent for stuff like that. A lot of people try, and not as many people make it in the hair and makeup stuff. So the people that do, like we go hard. We are constantly busy, and we're fortunate for sure.
So if you are a hair or makeup artist and you're starving to death here in Las Vegas, I suggest that you head to Ash Vegas.
Ash Vegas.
That's what they call Asheville back there. There's a lot going on there. Everything that I've seen, there's a lot of art, performers, kind of like the Austin, Texas of North Carolina. Which is cool. You've got a lot of and a lot of beer. I also heard
A lot of beer.
a lot of beer.
A lot of breweries, and they open new ones every month.
Really?
Yeah.
Literally.
So a
lot of
big
beer.
microbrewery
A lot
area.
of-
Craft beer, right?
And really nice ones too.
Wow.
They have big areas. They put them in parks, and it's really very nice.
Most of them have a lot of shows going on constantly. It's a great place.
Yeah.
Great place.
Cool.
I think that's the premise and the basis of how we met. As I've stated, I was born and raised here, and I'm back for a reunion. But I'd been out there for 10 years now in Asheville. And,
Wow.
From a photographer standpoint, and majoring in art in college, photography was one of my classes.
Did you attend UNLV?
You know, I did not, and
Okay.
it was my own doing. I had a full ride art scholarship at UNLV, and I turned it down.
Wow.
to go play football in Oregon. Because that's what jocks do. They just want to play football.
Yeah.
And
No, I get it.
regardless of whether it costs them or they make money at it. Anyway, I got injured into my second year, so I concentrated on the fine art aspect of it. Took my first photography class, and ever since I graduated in 1981 from college, I just used photography to basically
Meet chicks.
Yes!
And it works. It works.
That's great.
Really not the case, but I was just shooting my reference material for my fine art is what I was doing.
Right.
I've done quite a few paintings of Red Rock Canyon in the area around here,
Really?
Valley of Fire and whatnot, but I just used the camera to do what the average citizen does with a camera, and it's shoot birthday parties and family get-togethers and reference material for fine art. So that's what I did up until probably 5 years ago or so, 4 years ago. But again, getting back, that was the basis of why we're sitting here together right now, is that I like photography. I hung out with other people who liked it. We'd go out and just shoot vagabond photo meetups. We'd shoot downtown. We'd shoot local communities. We'd just shoot in black and white. We'd shoot patterns. You run into these other people. You find out that they have a finger in the music photography pie or the fashion pie or headshots. And
Yeah,
portraits
everybody
and
has
boudoir.
their own little kind of specialty or thing that they like shooting or want to shoot,
And
or
it all works in Asheville.
yeah.
It's all
Everything,
done in
yeah.
Asheville.
Everything is done there. That is so true.
So it's just one of the spokes in the wheel, and,
Yeah.
and that's the sole reason we're here today, is because, well, all three of us have Vegas in common. I was born and raised. Elliot worked here. Eric has worked here, and through just talking with each other and social media, we ended up in the same town at the same table on the same week, and it's what's awesome about it. I mean, I didn't know these people 4 years ago, and he's about my best friend in Asheville right now, and she's works on hair and makeup with me, and then also I shoot with her, so
Cool.
with Erica. So it's just incredible. That's part of why part of the reason it makes it so incredible is that you can sit down and do something in a professional manner and turn out quality product with quality people, or you can just sit at a table and have a beer and not do anything. I mean, and have a great time at it.
So you've been doing this long enough, or photography long enough, to have started out shooting in film?
Yes. I remember I processed my first roll of Plus X in black and white and your proof sheet, and I went, oh my gosh. A half hour ago I was on the sidelines at a football field shooting a game, and now I'm in a dark room and there it is. Or
Yeah.
the same thing with headshots, or same thing with the newspaper. After I got hurt in college, I went and did the newspaper and the yearbook.
Right.
So all of a sudden it's deadline time, and you have a purpose instead of, as we were speaking earlier, it's a passion, but it went from passion to, oh no,
Yeah.
now I have a responsibility and I have a deadline, and,
Right.
and okay, so yeah, it's one of those fields that you're continually learning on a daily basis. That's what keeps the passion in it. There's
Yeah.
always something new. The lighting is never the same. The talent is never the same. Some days are great. Some days just go smooth as silk. Some days are why am I here?
Nothing happens. Yeah.
But after working with people like this multiple times, man, you kind of know
You get a
help
feel for each
out,
other,
You know,
yeah.
you know what's going to happen.
Some people vibe and some people don't. Like, you can either create great things with somebody or you can't.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the personal responsibility that I can only speak for myself is that if drama comes up once before, you have a choice. Either
Right.
don't work with the person again, or try to make it so it doesn't happen again. Do your part. And
Because
anyway,
in the end, it is still a small town.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody.
Right. So you try not to rock the boat, but you try to be independent and speak your piece.
Exactly.
And you can. The professional thing to do is if there is a downside to it, you just go to that person specifically and say, "Look, this is not going to work out." But
Yeah.
for the most part, I guess this kind of kind of weaves into the Fash Mob. You want to speak on that a little bit? From your experience.
I guess it looks like we're coming up with Duncan's coming up with Fash Mob 10. This has been going on for almost 10 years. The first time, what was it? 4 models and 2 photographers showed up.
4 photographers, 2 models. Yeah, on a parking garage.
And this time there's going to be 100 photographers and 250 models.
Wow.
That show up for this thing, and I think it's going to be downtown Asheville, and everybody be on the street.
So it's just like a big party.
Yeah,
It is.
it's just a huge party.
I experienced my first a couple months ago. Yeah, over the summer it was the first one I had ever been to, and I was with
That was at 9, right?
I was with a pretty categorized group. We had gone in with a concept. We actually, most of the time, it's not like a runway show or anything, but we tore the place down and made it a runway show. The group that I was with. But it had a great meaning. We did a project called 7, and it was the 7 deadly sins turned into like today's like struggles and things that we're dealing with. The part that I played was somebody that is just not happy with themselves and is constantly striving to be better and getting plastic surgery and like always fighting media and wanting to be like bigger boob. I mean, but it's great though. It's the stuff that people come up with for this event is unreal. You see people that look like aliens, and then just normal designers with regular clothing lines that they're just trying to show off.
So is this just is there a theme to each one of the Fash Mobs, or it's just
everybody
you just show up
and they take the
want.
pictures
Do their
they
own
want.
thing.
The models pose what they want.
Photographers will grab somebody, and like if they like the look of somebody, hey, let's go over here and shoot, or hey, you. It's really cool.
North Carolina's version of Burning Man?
Yes, sort of.
Well, here's the deal.
There
Getting back into the functional and professional sense of it, the reason models came into being is that a designer, and we've got some phenomenal clothing designers in Asheville. There's talent everywhere, but the interaction of the clothing on a mannequin just didn't quite come off the way it needed to in order to sell the product. So the core of the end game is the designer. So the designer needed a model. So the designer solicits a model. Now, unless you put the model in a runway show or in a window, there needs to be a fashion show. So now there's a fashion show with this particular designer, and now in order to market it, you need a photographer to shoot it. Well, you can shoot plain Jane, or you can shoot somebody who's been through hair and makeup.
Right.
And so in the whole process, and as to your point too, you've got audio and video and whatnot. So now you've got a conundrum and a whole plethora of creative people who are trying to make this designer's clothing pop and sell, and it's not only is it great networking, but it's a great piece of the pie that makes it all come together. So Fash Mob was created in order to create a melting pot and a 4-hour window of opportunity in the middle of the week to help out the designer, the photographer, the model, the makeup artist. It's a huge networking event, and it's just been incredible. So it serves its purpose. It really does.
Is this attended by the general public as well, or is this?
Well, a lot of times it could be right in the middle of town. It would be like doing it on the Strip in Las Vegas. So the public is there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, anybody is welcome to come. Anybody is welcome to even.
Yeah, there's no
be
criteria.
In regular clothes, and if somebody wants to do something
if you show up with your cell phone,
good.
you can take pictures.
Yeah.
There you go.
No holds barred. Everybody.
Well, I think the interesting thing about a concept like that, and you were talking about the designer has a picture in their mind of what this particular piece of clothing should look like, or he wants to, or she wants to present.
How it should flow and how it should move.
Now, your model is going to have another concept. Photographer's going to have another concept. So making all 3 of those kind of gel, or, as the designer, and I see something that you've shot and I go, well, that's not what I had in mind, but I like that. or no, you suck, you know.
Right.
So
The guy with the biggest gun wins.
yeah. I've got the money, so this is what we're going to do. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, so,
Well, we, as a photographer, we work with designers who have a concept and a direction they want to go.
Right.
And some of them stick to their guns, so to
Right.
speak. Others are a little bit more free in that being a separate entity, the photographer's going to see it different. The models might
course.
work it different. But that's the great thing about it. Unless you're really constrained into what your master plan is, that's what's great about all of this, is that a different set of eyes makes it look different and makes it interact different, and so we have a great time with it, and it's huge. It was this far away from not ever happening again, and then the outcry was so
depressing. We got to keep going.
Yeah.
so is this a sponsored event, or how is this?
One guy in town is responsible for starting it and for keeping it going every
Gotcha.
year.
right.
And Duncan Shabati is the man that did it, and he's the man that keeps it going. And when he said, well, I don't know if I want to do it again, I guess there was enough pressure put on him. So he did the last one, he's going to do one perhaps in November.
Yeah.
And so he got himself a job whether he wants it or not.
Gotcha.
And a job that doesn't pay him anything.
Yeah.
Our most recent one was actually done at a local brewery. So we had a place set up, and then I think it was like the week before, the place that the event was supposed to happen at told us, oh, we double booked, so there's somebody else that'll be there, so there's nowhere to go. And I knew somebody actually that is one of the owners of one of the breweries, and so we all talked to him and got it figured out. And so it's really cool. It's just the whole community comes together. They really do for stuff like this. Let us use the venue, brewery. So it's really cool.
How big is Asheville?
What, 82 to 100,000
I
people,
don't even
something
know.
like that?
I don't know.
That's
no
it?
idea. It's not.
Depends on the time of year.
Yeah, seriously.
80 to 100,000, I think.
Wow.
And, in the outskirts and whatnot, and it's in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Gorgeous.
Probably.
Yeah, it's gorgeous up there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice.
Probably 3,000 feet or somewhere around there.
Depends on where you are, because they're a mountain. I guess the largest mountain, the east of the Mississippi, is actually in North Carolina.
Yeah.
The tallest one, yeah.
Gorgeous.
They're changing right now. It's just starting to. It's beautiful.
Over the next couple of weeks, it's gorgeous.
It's this time of year when you realize why they call them the Smokies. The fog hanging in the
Hanging over
valleys,
there,
and the sun coming up over the ridge, and seeing this backlight, and that golden, from a photographer standpoint, that golden hour, first hour or two in the morning, and sometimes it comes through the fog, and sometimes it doesn't. It's just beautiful there right now with the leaves changing, and so it makes for, unless you go into your winter scenes and snow scenes, this is that last little push that the photographers and the models and designers want to do with the colors, because it's
Everybody trying to put in work.
90% of the foliage changes colors and falls to the ground this time of year, so it's just absolutely
Quickly,
gorgeous.
That is pretty stark.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing, we've got Biltmore. We've got the Biltmore house there too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm-
Yeah, I've seen
So-
some of the stuff that you've shot out there.
Yeah, it's a great place to go to shoot pictures in.
Yeah.
They have some rules and regulations, but you can go in there and shoot. And it's I guess it's the largest privately owned
Home, yeah.
home in the country.
Yep.
And it's several thousand acres.
Wow.
And you can roam through there and bring yourself a model, and you can get a lot of pictures in there, a lot of
We
different
definitely
scenes.
have an area that there's so many different places. We have all types of scenery out there that you can really play around with.
Right. And even when it snows, you can get a model that'll wear a flowing gown in the middle of a snowstorm. And and it works.
It is almost flooded with creatives, and I mean that from a designer standpoint, musician, poets, painters, artists, writers,
Everything. Dancers, all
dancers.
sorts of performers. Street performers galore. You cannot walk anywhere.
Oh,
downtown
cool. I love that.
Asheville.
Oh, yeah.
Every corner there's a
lot
different
of that.
performer.
Lot of them.
Cloggers.
Buskers, drum
People
circles.
playing the spoons, all sorts of stuff. It's cool.
Cool.
There's no shortage of creatives in the area, and which can have its downside. But the fact of the matter is that if you're into arts and entertainment, there's no shortage of that whatsoever.
So, geographically speaking, where within North Carolina is Asheville located?
The western
North
quarter
Carolina.
of North
Yeah.
Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say if you broke it up into fourths or fifths, it's in the western fourth or fifth of the state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
way over
Yeah.
there.
Cool.
And it's right on I-40. It's
And what Knoxville is
hour and a half,
an
2
hour and a
hours.
half, 2 hours away, depending on where you are.
Back to the west.
in
Okay.
Asheville. Yeah, and
2 hours to Charlotte.
right, yeah. It's western North Carolina, but it's centrally located to get to other places.
Yeah. Well, that's always good to be able to get to other places.
Well, yeah, unless you want to fly.
Yeah.
Flying from Asheville direct to any place doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
Not easy.
There's no direct flight from from Asheville to Las Vegas. Can't
No.
doesn't matter what you're going to pay. It can't get done.
You got to puddle jump down to Charlotte or
Right,
Atlanta
or,
or
yeah,
Greenville,
Atlanta,
Spartanburg or whatnot.
Dallas, someplace.
Knoxville, and then here.
Right.
What the heck?
Yeah.
So, is the town pretty much happening all year round, or is there a season that
I mean,
When it gets cold in the wintertime, they close it down.
have foliage season, which is, I guess, their biggest push. But the summers are gorgeous. Generally, it's not very humid, and generally, it's not very. I mean, it's never 106. you know, but yeah.
It does have those feel-like days.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, but
Yeah.
they might have humidity that's 90%. But the summers aren't. Nothing is extreme.
Yeah.
So they get away with almost any season.
We have tourists all the time. There are always people coming to Asheville, Maggie Valley, Cherokee. We have some really cool things around there. So there's always people from everywhere around there.
Cool.
I think I remember reading or seeing recently that it's selected as one of the most favorite go-to places in the whole country.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really not a bad gig.
It's
Yeah.
growing. It's doing a lot for itself, for sure.
Well, until Elliot moved there, I'd never heard of it.
Growing
Well,
up.
it's who you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
It's
right.
always
Yeah.
who you know.
I mean, that's the only reason I'm here is because
Yeah.
I know Elliot.
Yeah, there you go.
And Erica. But
There you go. So what is the what is the worst thing about living in Asheville? What's the thing that you hate the most?
I don't even want to go there.
Yeah, no, I don't think it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to go there.
Go
All
ahead.
right.
A lot of people don't bathe, and a lot of people stink out there.
There you go.
That's always my issue. I work really close to people doing hair
Gotcha.
and makeup.
Gotcha.
And
Well, I'm glad I showered this morning.
Me too. You know, I don't know that I hate anything really. I might go down the roads of that person can't drive, and
Yeah, but
That's everywhere.
that's everywhere.
Here's one thing, and it's an inside joke, and it can be funny, but Asheville, as mountainous as it is, I believe, if I'm correct in my memory here, and that that's the oldest mountain range in the country, and it's every bit as rugged as the Rockies.
Okay.
It's just that they're older
Right.
than the Rockies. Okay, so the Rocky Mountains are craggier, sharper,
Jagged and- yeah.
Okay, whereas the Smokies are not, and they're not set up for winter and
Gosh,
ice and
no.
snow. They don't have a huge supply of plows and sand and gravel trucks and de-icers or whatnot.
The Blue Ridge Parkway, a lot of it is closed in the winter because they really can't keep it clean,
Yeah.
and they're afraid somebody will drive off, the road.
they're just not set up for winter conditions. So it's when it's coming, you head to the store and you get your milk, bread,
Within
and eggs,
hours, it's sold
and
out.
that way you can make bread sandwiches.
Yeah.
I know.
No, what is it?
Why
Bread.
just those few things?
and so it's funny. Here it comes, and all of a sudden,
Schools closed within a couple flurries.
But a lot of the families are up in the coves and up
Right.
to where it's just you should not even leave the driveway.
I can't
Right.
get out for like a week.
And that's
even
serious.
if there's
It's
only a
serious
couple
stuff
inches.
because
Wow.
some of those roads, it's straight up and straight down, and
Right off the side, it's just a
and
drop.
I think we had a blizzard of 5 years ago or so, 24 inches of snow, and I ventured out in it because I had spent 17 years in Colorado high country and four-wheel drive and chains, and that's the last time I went out in it. Not that I had an accident,
Right.
but I can drive in snow, but nobody can drive
Yeah.
on ice.
Yeah.
And it's right on that
I can't drive
borderline
in
to where
snow either.
it's
I can't either.
it's ice, and you're just out there
Yeah,
like
you-
a
you
hog
don't
on
have a
ice, and
chance.
It's a skating
Yeah,
rink.
well,
And so that's the one thing. Not that I hate that, but I've quickly realized why people take such precautionary measures when it snows, because it's downright dangerous out there. Whereas Colorado, they're set up for it. They do it every year. you know.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah, in Vermont, we would drive. The snow didn't matter.
Yeah.
First, the roads started to be plowed as soon as it started to snow, and you were never stuck, you know? And you also don't give the side of the road. You drive the road.
I don't know that I hate anything, to your point. I born and raised in Vegas, I could sit here and it was like you were in an oven. It was a dry oven.
Oh, yeah.
When you're back there, and I shudder to even think about Atlanta or Florida, but the humidity gets to me both in the
Me
summer
too. Yeah.
and the winter. The summer I can't dry out.
Yeah.
And in the winter it just cuts me right to the bone.
Yeah.
The moisture content in the air just makes 32 degrees feel like 20
Yeah.
out there, and it's just brutal. That's for me. Other than that, some driving issues with other people and the humidity.
Okay, so
that's it.
bathing
I'm
and
good.
driving.
Bathing and driving.
I'm good.
Elliot, you have one?
No, I'm backing out of the answer.
Okay.
To that
It is a
question.
great area,
Absolutely not.
Okay, so I'm going to be in Asheville for a couple of days. What are the 3 things that I absolutely have to see?
Oh,
That if I'm only going to be there for a couple of days and I've only got a chance to see 3 different things, what would your 3 things be?
I
Or
always
do or whatever.
I'm really big on the microbreweries. I think they are the atmosphere, and one of them has like little. This is gonna sound really gruesome and cruel, but like cut up doll heads and stuff hanging around. Like
Oh,
the
cool. I
scenery
like
out
that.
there,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's really cool stuff. I am obsessed with microbreweries. I don't even drink beer, and I go hang out at them. So
The Biltmore House. I mean,
Okay.
it's the largest privately owned home in the country. I think it's 154 rooms,
Wow.
it is
and it's
gorgeous.
it's gorgeous.
Christmas time, decked out.
It's
out.
a Vanderbilt entity, and so it's phenomenal. And I think you'll agree to that. Both
absolutely.
year round. The Blue Ridge Parkway this time of year.
Yeah, the Blue Ridge Parkway
phenomenal.
is really nice. In the summer, it's nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. From a visual standpoint,
And actually, downtown Asheville.
Yeah,
Drum-
downtown.
It's pretty.
and it's
There's
drum
always
circle.
Drum
something
circle.
going
Yeah.
on.
Drum circle is such an
The drum
experience.
circle every Friday, and there's always something going on.
The drum circle brings hundreds of people, and if you're not drumming, you are in the middle of this circle dancing. You don't care what you look like. Everybody is just having a good time. It's amazing.
I would venture to say that you could be on a sidewalk in Asheville and do pretty much anything. Looking anyhow,
Yeah.
and pretty
Nobody-
much saying anything,
And nobody's going to question you.
and no one will even look you in the eye. I mean,
So it's kind of like Fremont
it's
Street.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like Thursday. You
Yeah.
know, it's just another day, and that's the great thing about it is
Yeah.
that it's got such diverse content and happenings and styles.
Everything is
and-
normal there. Nothing is out of the norm.
Part of the problem with things like that here is that everything that you do in this town, you're competing with gaming.
Right.
And so that's one of the difficulties in doing things like they do in Asheville, or having the you're competing with the gaming industry, and they don't want. Fremont Street has even gotten very restrictive for the performers down there. They have to have permits. They have a circle that they have to stay within during the time that they're in there. They can't approach the visitors or anything like that because they were harassing the hell out of them.
I think in Asheville now the buskers have to have permits, I believe.
Right.
And they're assigned a spot, and it's rotated.
Right.
But I think they have to have permits now.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is too bad.
Well, they were getting a lot of complaints from the tourists about
Right.
being harassed by the performers and things like that. And so, hey, take a picture with me, and
Right.
So
Oh gosh, our
give me
street
$5
performers, everybody's crowded around. Like everybody stops, everybody hangs out for a few. It's pretty cool.
It's what I used to love about San Francisco.
Right.
There was a lot of, and one of my favorites was, and I'm walking down the street in San Francisco, and there's a guy just standing there, and there's a whole crowd of people around him, and and I'm wondering, okay, what's this guy doing? And nothing. And so I walk on, and I hear all the people laughing, and I'm turning around, and he's just standing there. And so I kind of hung out, and all he was doing was, as people were walking by, once they'd get past, he would imitate them.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, there was, and it was just, it's really so simple, but yet it was brilliant.
Seriously.
And there was just, the crowd kept getting bigger and bigger, and people are walking by, and they don't know what the hell is going on, and
When I was there, I think people were still trying to find their way out of it.
Yeah.
Out of Haight-Ashbury.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness.
Well, if you remember the 60s, you weren't really there.
Right,
So.
yeah, right. Yeah.
So what's happening with the cannabis laws in North Carolina? Anybody know?
Clueless.
I think they're trying. I think they started with hemp,
Right.
and I think that they're growing it, and it's under discussion, but I don't know that much about it. If you don't make a lariat out of it, I don't know what to do with it.
It's a weird area because it's very much so right in the middle of the Bible Belt, but then you have all the liberals, so it's
Right.
everything is
Yeah.
constant.
And that's why I asked, whether or not
constant
they,
controversy.
do they have a medical marijuana laws or not?
I believe they do, and
Okay.
I have no
I should
idea.
probably not even talk.
I
don't
should know. My brother is in the medical marijuana business, but I don't
Okay.
even know.
I'm ignorant on that part. I'm going to plead the fifth.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'd hate to say anything erroneous.
Yeah. I don't know.
Why, I don't know why everybody else does. It seems to be say something stupid and get elected. I don't know. So.
Touche.
That'll work.
You're for president.
Coming full circle here, again, we all have somewhat of a footprint here in Las Vegas. Me being born and raised, Elliot working here, Erica working here. And again, when it comes full circle and we're sitting here, thanks to your invite and who you know, to be able to sit here and share a little bit of our neck of the woods, so to speak, or over yonder or whatever. I run into people on a daily basis, and it's a running joke. Yeah, you can tell I'm not from here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not tough to do, man.
Yeah.
So, and I try to throw a little twang into it, and it just doesn't work.
Can't quite get it right.
You can't quite get it right, but to come full circle and be here, three people who were hanging out at Fash Mob 6 months ago or on a shoot. Elliot, a little back history here. Elliot's he's a very, very good photographer in his own right, but he chooses to just hang out and be a good photographer and not having to be a good guy or a bad guy. He just wants to do his own thing, like we were speaking
He's
of.
so
Right.
neutral.
So
neutral.
So he generally shoots back shots. So if I was the photographer and I was shooting Erica, or she was hair and makeup, he'd just sit over there in the corner and mind his own
behind the
business, and
scenes.
behind the scenes,
Yeah.
BTS, or back shots, and just shoot us shooting them. And he's phenomenal at that, and he does it for quite a few of more well-known photographers in town, and he just likes to keep himself busy. So
Well, I've used a lot of his work in some of my video stuff. So
does he know
That's
that?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even gave him credit for it.
I even gave him credit.
Yeah,
We
so-
appreciate that.
So that's incredible. Like I said, I've known him for probably.
Oh yeah, no.
4 years
Listen,
now.
I'm blown away. I wish I could do half as good a work as Elliot
Yeah,
does, and
yes.
he's got a good eye.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah, and it's stuff that I can see has some great general appeal, and not just like all the stuff I do. I just do it for me. And
that's true.
and I don't care whether anybody else likes it. This is what I wanted to shoot, and I went to the UK a couple of years ago, and I came back with almost 8,000 pictures. So
That sounds like a wedding that I would shoot.
yeah. Well, and
Sounds
that's
like my calendar shoot.
Yeah.
8,000. The running joke is, Craig, you could have stopped after one.
Yeah.
No. That is a running joke. Yeah, that's the real reason.
But
I
that's
keep
a
it
nice
around.
thing
It
about-
keeps my shutter count down.
right. But that's the nice thing about the shooting with digital
Right.
is that you may shoot 100
Just
shots.
hit delete and it goes away.
Yeah, but
That's the
And
bad
it
thing about
doesn't
shooting
cost you
digital too.
anything.
yeah,
Right.
It's a
but
double-edged sword.
yeah, but the ones that I love are the ones that you hadn't planned on, or the
Right.
ones that you're looking at later and you go, holy crap, I
That really
don't
turned
remember
out.
this. Yeah, this is awesome. So those are my favorites.
Generally, at times it gets fast and furious, and all of a sudden you're going, like you said,
Yeah.
where'd that come from? And so,
Yeah.
it happens. There
Those are the magic moments.
there they truly are,
True.
and I guess that's one of the amazing things I found. I'm really still find myself as kind of new at this, at least this genre, the people, and I will find quite a few of those amazing moments that I hadn't planned on, and then you'd like to think you know what you're talking about, and you like to think that you'd like other people to think that you know what you're talking about, and as hard as you try to pre-plan things and figure out what genre you're going to do and what set you're going to do, you'd like it to work out, and sometimes it's just over the top, and I sit here and go, my gosh, I can't believe this turned out this well. I hashtag a lot of things a team effort, and it's truly a team effort.
It is, so
Yeah.
much so.
It's particularly with the Fash Mobs, I think you'll both agree that
Huge.
that
The
when you
collaborating is everything.
when you see people who are wearing what they're wearing, and particularly if you don't get a chance or make it a point to shoot with those people, and you're going, God, I can't wait to see what somebody got on
Yeah.
shooting with them, and
Right.
and I
And then the hair
hashtag
and the
thing with
makeup, it all pulls
with a
together.
team effort. It's an absolute team effort. No one person is responsible for how things turn out, either good or bad. It's all a team effort, and so that's the one thing I found hanging with these people rather regularly, and we just sometimes happen to get teamed up on a project that none of us were in charge of,
Right.
but Erica gets bring in to do awesome makeup, and she does the traditional work. I mean, the traditional smoky eye, but then she goes out in left field and does some stuff that's
I do
just way outside
fairies,
the box.
I do melting skin. I can
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
totally kill it.
Cool.
So, right now is my favorite time of year. Like,
Oh,
I've
I can
already
imagine.
started-
Yeah.
I did Friday
Yeah.
the 13th makeup, and I'm
She could make
so
you look
ready.
good.
So ready for
Yeah.
Halloween.
Good luck with that.
So
But it's great. It's so much fun.
the greatest thing about it is hanging with other creative people, and
Yeah.
generally you go around with big smiles on your face, and
Yeah,
you're in
everybody's
awe,
always got a smile.
amazed at other people's work, and you hope to learn a little bit from it, and
And it's not really a rat race out there. Everybody helps each other. Nobody is trying to compete with each other. Everybody totally comes in together out there. Whereas other places, I'm from Florida originally, and like
Hooray for me and to hell
nobody-
with you. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's sad because we have so much synergy as a group that
Exactly.
we can draw from, and so anyway, that's one of the things that I found about with the station here is that all of the show hosts and we all kind of work together to kind of help lift each other up and promote each other's shows, and it pays off, more than I can do myself or you could do yourself. and it's it just, the high tide rises all ships, and so it's kind of cool. And we've kind of built a family here, and I've been very picky in who we let in. It's the one nice thing about it is, and maybe it's stupid, is I haven't focused on the money. I focused on the work.
Right.
And the money is, the money has to come, because otherwise you can't pay the bills, and you can't keep the internet on, and you can't keep the lights on. But
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
but if you focus on the work and the content, the money will come.
It does.
And this is proof, So and that's what I like about it. It's in being able to, in that point in my life where I can do this now that I couldn't have done 10 years ago, 20 years ago, because we're all too busy trying to earn a living and, put food on the table and pay the rent.
And you forget to do what you love.
That was a point I wanted to touch on, in that when you asked what are the 3 things you hate about Asheville or North Carolina or whatever, I'm somewhere in my life right now to where I choose to think about what I like and the positive aspects of it. So as far as a group or a team effort here, particularly in these Fash Mob events, I mean, it's so absolutely amazing to see the work that comes out of that and to see people grow. I'm one of those people who have grown over the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And I take somebody else's word for it rather than my own. Even though I've been a fine artist almost all my life and not as prolific as I'd like, that's totally my doing. I'm the one that chose not to be that prolific over 40 years or 50 years of painting. Whereas I have spurts of, my gosh, I painted 82 paintings one year, and now this year I've done 10, So the thing is that it's awesome to watch somebody else who is just starting out, maybe not so much in their profession, but applying it to a group of people that
Right.
have common goals. And
I've only been really in I'm going to call it the Asheville Model Network crew, because that's pretty much what we are,
Right.
for a year. And
Wow.
now I'm wrote almost every day looking to do work with people. And last year, nobody knew who I was as far as that. I was doing weddings and more stuff like that. And now I get to be more creative and jump in on stuff like that. We really do lift each other up, and it's unreal.
Cool.
The great part about it is that I think, again, I've only worked specifically with Erica 2 or 3 times, but it might be 10 times in a social setting or in the Fash Mob or whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome.
Well, after this, we're going to go up to Red Rock and do a shoot up there.
Oh, cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just put the stuff up, take the pictures, and,
Awesome.
Yeah.
see what we come up with.
So we've been talking this whole time about your photography, but what about your fine art, and what is your medium?
Here's the story, and I'm going to stick to it. Born and raised in Henderson. My mother attended a summer recreation department oil painting class
Okay.
taught by Genevieve Smith. And it was 1 day a week. And for 3 times I said, Mom, I'm 6 years old. I said, I want to go. Nope. So the 3rd time she said, okay, here is your canvas. Here is your paints on the palette, and here's your brushes. You're to be seen and not heard. And so the instructor puts up the still life with the curtain and the fruit and the vase and the flowers, and I paint it. And anyway, fast forward, I majored in art, and I showed at the Boulder City Art Festival as a child and a teenager, and then college and major, and come back and freelance in Vegas. But I started in oils, which for a 6-year-old, it's not like watercolors or acrylics.
Yeah, right.
Finger painting was a lot easier.
Right? I know, that's about the extent of my skills.
I started in oils, and then in college expanded into acrylics and then watercolor. Some classes with Cliff Sagerbloom locally here, and Shark Cruz. I came out of college and worked back at Dick Blick Art Supplies up there, over by Ethel M. Chocolate.
Yeah, even I know
With
that.
amazing, I don't know, at the time, you're 21 years old, you come out of school, I Dick Blick, you need me. Okay, I go in there and I work for Dick Blick until I a couple of freelance designers saw my work. They'd get their supplies there. Sandra Sachs and John Dykema, independent designers, but they saw my work there, and I chose to go into freelance work. And so over the course of 8-10 years, I freelanced for and did artwork for just about every major hotel, casino, and builder developer in town.
Wow.
At the time.
Yeah.
And I was, I thought at the time, a pretty good airbrush artist. I was not so much competing, but hanging with Gary Freeman, who was also from here at the time, and had a good run of it, and then just decided if I ever decided to bail out of Las Vegas, I would move to Estes Park, Colorado. So I did that in 1990, but continued to paint in oils, acrylics, watercolors. Not so much the airbrush once the advent of the computer came along, and I said, okay, let me try this from an electronic standpoint, and slowly transition from film to digital. But I still do. I brush to canvas painting. I've back in the day I learned to do, or wanted to do, the draw binky, the realism thing. If it was a horse, I made it look like a horse.
Right.
If it was a flower or tree and whatnot. Now I've kind of changed styles and direction a little bit. I do a little bit more abstract work and modern work. I can still do a portrait. I'm working on commissions right now for people.
So when are you gonna come on? Hey, you photographed me. Let's come on.
Okay.
He's like, what did I get myself into?
No. I would love to. That's part of the passion and the. One day you can sit down. This is the first I've heard of that. There was a time when oh my gosh. I modeled, and I went, oh my gosh.
For a long time, nobody knew.
I will say this: my first take on several people that weren't models at the time, they were other creatives, makeup artists, and I went, you've never been in front of a lens? No, you should. And they took a chance on me, and they trusted me to, not in Erica's case, but similar cases, to step in front of my lens.
You're the first lens I stepped back in front of, though, after 3 years.
See, once again, I'm honored, humbled enough. The bottom line, John, is just absolutely amazing to hang with people that particularly take a trust in me.
Yeah.
Depending on where you go with it, it can get rather intimate versus, hey, it's class picture time. Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
And to have these people, to work with them enough to confide and to trust your behavior and your actions, and it's the utmost honor to be able to be part of that team effort in that aspect. So
I agree.
And I'm sure that runs the gamut with many different collaborations, but that as well is a huge part of a collaborative effort back there, at least from a photographer model standpoint, is that we made mention, or Elliot made mention, and Erica said, I'm there, man, I'm there. And so we're going to go do that after we leave here and go out to Red Rock or Spring Mountain Ranch or whatnot and see what we can find, burros or horses or cactus or whatnot. And
so let me ask you guys this. Do you ever find yourself getting in trouble because you're staring at someone, especially women?
You got to be careful taking pictures of kids.
Oh, listen, I used to love taking pictures of kids because
it's a whole different world.
Yeah, and I stopped that years ago.
I'd go up to Sunset Park.
Yeah.
And take pictures, the swings and stuff there. Now, you just don't go near it. Yeah.
It is true.
But I find myself, I look at people, and I see things that maybe the average person looking at somebody doesn't really see anybody. They're not even
even cognizant of it.
Right. And so I will find myself out in public or in a restaurant or whatever, and I'm staring at someone because I can see what they're going to look like in front of the camera
Right.
or something like that, and then you catch yourself, and it's like, oh, sorry, you know.
Don't mind me.
Yeah,
It's a whole different world right now, and,
Yeah.
and you don't have to be a photographer to know that. You know, you can just figure that out in common sense. I've got a kind of a little story. Here's the difference between then and now is that I was up on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and just because I had a long lens and a model, I was kind of reprimanded because I didn't have a permit. And I said, look, this is just for my personal portfolio and her
Yeah.
personal portfolio. No laws were broken other than the fact that, we were standing in the middle of the road for a period of time.
But we all do it.
The officer told me that the paperwork is far much more extensive on an accident than it is on. So I get that, and I apologize profusely, but there are far more people with their smartphone now
yes,
that have the capabilities of doing pretty much
So
what this
yeah,
long lens.
yeah,
And the thing is that back in the day, it was just people with long lenses.
right,
And now everybody is a photographer.
yeah,
And can be so incognito about it. Like,
You
you,
can-
don't have to be right here.
You
like,
can
you're down
pretend
here,
like you're doing this,
right,
and
you're
I can
taking
just
pictures.
go click.
yeah, yeah,
So it's Big Brother syndrome times a gabillion. Just a lot of people.
yeah,
But to your point, they've got a smartphone or with capabilities that almost mirror what we do with the long lenses. The difference is that you can tell I'm a photographer and somebody with a phone. So it's
just a perv.
getting back to
Pretty
your point.
much.
Getting back to your point is that you no longer have to have the long lens unless you're going to reach out and touch someone from a far away.
But
You can do it with your smartphone now.
yeah, but to me it doesn't feel the same.
No,
No.
And I mean, I love
boom, the ball.
having the camera and it just kind of the whole, this is just kind of, I don't know.
Changing the aperture
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah,
That's a double-edged sword as well, because this, I'm going, all your product for your Etsy page and your web page, and I'm good at it.
right,
Oh, no, I don't need you. I've got this. And
Right.
I've got
That
my
is
little
so
seamless I
true.
created, and your do-it-yourself off YouTube. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that that's what the competition is.
yes,
From a creative standpoint, if I create logos, and I've been doing custom logos that take some market research and some studying and my due diligence to figure out that I'm going to create a nice look for your company, and then no, I've got Fiverr.com, and I can have 50 people in a hut somewhere else working on my
yeah,
for
exactly.
$10, and I'm
Yeah.
going, see. So it's as awesome as modern technology is.
There's a downside to all of it.
You've got to
Yeah.
find a way to rise above and,
Right.
and differentiate yourself from everybody else
Everybody.
who's under the do-it-yourself umbrella. I as well like the bulk and the heaviness of the long lens. I'm by no means a seasoned veteran pro.
Right, right. Well,
it seems to have some substance.
the
there.
camera that I use to shoot this, it will do. I mean, it's a small, compact camera,
Right.
and it'll do everything that the big ones will do.
There you go.
And the nice thing about it is I throw it in my backpack, and I've got everything in there I need to shoot.
Right.
So
It's not about what makes it happen, or the tools, or the content, or the talent. It's really about the end product. I
right,
mean, you can go
that's
ghetto.
exactly right.
If you go ghetto and,
Yeah.
and decide and don't tell anybody you went ghetto,
Yeah,
Nobody's.
they might think you're just Madison Avenue.
yeah,
Right.
And we have all experienced. Well, I speak for myself. I've experienced that. I'm pretty ghetto.
yeah,
I'm
But if
so ghetto.
I don't say anything to anybody, it holds some weight. And so it's just I'm really honored just to be part of it. I get
as you should be.
well. I get so
In your
much.
case, you should be.
So much more out of interacting with people like this, and
Well, don't you find that every time you do, it sparks something else, and you think, oh my God, yeah,
Absolutely.
and then you're off in this tangent and that tangent, and
Absolutely.
so.
I get so much more out of it from the interactive process and the creative process than what I think at the time going into it, that this is my goal and this
The
is
last
Right.
time we shot, we had a very distinct, like, what we were going to shoot. And by the end, we were way in left field. It was
Yeah.
nothing that we had planned.
Right.
And the outcome was phenomenal.
Same thing with this show. As you now know,
yeah.
I never
We're gonna
laid
make
this
an
out.
hour out of this.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And it gives us the opportunity to explore whatever we want to explore and go where we want to go.
Right.
And I have sat down where I'll have a list of questions that I want to make sure that I cover with somebody, and before you know it, after the third one, we're off in left field.
Exactly.
But we're all having a good time, and we're all learning something, and we're having a good experience, and to me that's what's important. So and I watch a lot of talk shows, and just to kind of get some ideas, and it's like, if you've seen one, you've seen them all, kind of type thing. They all kind of go down the same road, and
Right.
I had a friend of mine used to be the drummer for the show Rock of Ages out here on the Strip, and until it closed. But he's played with David Bowie, Rod Stewart. He's friends with Pete Townsend, and the guy does an awesome show, and a very, very humble guy. But he brought me in some of the cast members from Rock of Ages, and one of the cast members, one of the characters there, one of the main characters, I was interviewing him, and it turns out that his hobby is collecting and restoring iron skillets. And he said all the time that he's been doing this, and he had never had an opportunity to talk about that. And so for 30 minutes we talked about
pretty
iron
interesting.
skillets and all the stuff like
Pretty
that.
wild,
So
yeah.
Very
that
interesting.
normally he wouldn't have gotten an opportunity to do
Right.
on any of the shows. And so what do you want? Come on in. Come in, sit down, and shut up.
Oh, that wasn't nice.
Everybody,
That face.
this is Samala.
Hi.
Samala, this is Elliot, Greg, and Erica.
Everybody. Much easier.
And so, anyway, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And it looks like we're going to wrap this up now, unless anybody has any last words or final testaments for.
It's been
I'm done.
wonderful, and thank you both for the opportunity, and thank you for.
Yes.
Oh no! Listen, anytime you're here, you're coming in. Let me know, or
Absolute
you're
pleasure.
coming here to work or whatever. So you were going to tell us just a little bit before we go.
Yeah.
What you're here shooting and who you're shooting for.
So I'm here with Keith Sell. As I mentioned earlier, he's an internationally known tattoo photographer. He's got over 100 and something covers on magazines. I could not even tell you how many, just regular publications. So he's got a calendar going right now. That'll be a supplemental calendar to Outlaw Biker Magazine.
Oh, cool.
We did some stuff. He's also got his own book that he's working on called Nude Ink. We're doing some stuff for that. And then we just played around with a lot of other stuff for different submissions. We're not sure where yet. But those are the two projects that we're really looking towards right now.
And he's local?
He is local.
Okay.
He's been in the area for, I think, 5 years now. He is originally from Sacramento, I think.
How did you hook up with him?
So I met him 4 years ago. I was in Vegas with my mom celebrating her birthday.
Okay.
And somehow we ended up messaging, and he's like, let's shoot. And I had only done a little bit of stuff at the time. And we worked together, and after I worked with him, I blew up. I ended up in a couple publications, not from him after that, but I was traveling to Florida to do some work, and I was going to Louisiana, and I came back here the same year and did some work with Brazzers as an extra on some of their films.
Okay.
I was not naked. I did not do porn, but I am an extra in several of their films. That trip was with Marcus Rivera. He's one of their main photographers. And I worked with him for 2 weeks straight. So Keith was really my door opener and got me into, I had done a little bit of small town stuff in Charlotte back home with a couple clothing lines and stuff, but after I worked with Keith, that was like my, okay, she's good.
Cool. Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up. I just want to remind everybody this Saturday, I'll be over at Borders Books again over on Rainbow at the book signing. So if you go to Borders and you buy a book, stop by my table and I'll autograph it for you. So that's all we have for today. And like I always say, if you're going to do it with Stiles. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Yay!
Nice work, John.